Welcome to our Weld County School District 6 School Board meeting. It's Monday, January 8th, 2018. This meeting will now come to order. Will you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take a breath. Roll call, Ms. Crane.
Mr. DeWitt.
Present.
Mr. Hafley.
Present.
Mr. Lydiak.
Present.
Mr. Matthews.
Present.
Ms. Pappas.
Present.
Dr. Richard.
Present.
Mrs. Solis.
Present.
7 members present.
Thank you very much. We're a little bit behind coming into the building this evening. Forgive us. We were chatting about things and got carried away a little bit, but we're glad and delighted to be here. Happy New Year. Welcome back to school. Welcome back to meetings. I'll be very brief in my comments as president. In addition to being enthusiastic about getting back to school, I also want to mention that our district has been saying to itself that we need to get kids in high school to go on to the next step, and they need to be involved in making that decision early. And I'm really pleased to report that the state of Colorado has recognized the growth in the number of applicants for federal aid. The FAFSA form needs to be filled out before you go to the next step in going to college, and we've really met our goals in terms of having children fill out those going to college forms to the degree that the state of Colorado has recognized us for that, and they're not recognizing us for that. They're recognizing the people in the schools that are getting kids motivated to sign. So we want to say thank you very much for that. The next item of business is a hearing of persons desiring to speak before the board, and I don't have any information about speakers. Okay, then we'll move on. The next item is the work session report. Ms. Crane? We just finished that, so.
Board of Education President Roger DeWitt began the work session with comments and updates from board members. Mr. DeWitt then proceeded to review the calendar of upcoming events and future agenda items. Superintendent Dr. Deirdre Pilch led a discussion about the 2 charter contracts up for renewal. Dr. Pilch and Director of Safety and Security John Gates spoke with the board members about the vetting wells planned near Bella Romero Academy, sharing and discussing drafts of a possible letter and resolution regarding the wells, and that concluded the work session.
Thank you very much. All that happened in just a few moments ago. We're pretty busy up there tonight. Dr. Pilch, I think it's time for the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. We're all catching our breath, aren't we? So, you know, in full disclosure, we all started at about 2:45 this afternoon as in executive session and have since been running through our work session. I want to thank the folks from the city of Greeley who came to advise us and answer all of our questions tonight in our work session regarding, you know, our current concerns and questions about the vetting well site, the oil wells that are planned to come in near the Bella Romero School. The staff at the city of Greeley, the fire department staff, have been very helpful in helping us to understand really the regulations and rules around all this. So thank you to all of them, and I expect there may be additional conversation in the future about our questions and concerns with those vetting well sites. I want to say also Happy New Year to everyone. As you did, Mr. DeWitt, here we are in 2018. And very excited because 2018 for us here in District 6 has meant that we are implementing new initiatives because of new revenue from a mill levy override here in District 6. You know, we did a great deal of planning going into the mill levy override ballot measure, extensive planning on how we would spend the money and what the plans were for spending the money. And so, as a result, once this passed, all we had to do was begin to put the teams together to really launch the plans behind the spending of that mill levy override. So I just want to give you a little bit of an update on what we've already got rolling here. So we are busy issuing bids and preparing RFPs so that we can put out additional bids for companies and vendors, because we are going to spend this money, and we're going to spend it the way that we promised. So I want to share first, we're expanding our career pathways as one of the promises we made. Today, we've been doing the interviews for the career pathways position there, the business and community partnership position. Very excited. This is the position that will take the place of the work that Susan Walker has been doing, as that support from the city will go another direction. And we will be able to expand our career pathways, expand our career internships and apprenticeships as a result of this work. And I'm very excited to report that we have more students taking concurrent enrollment courses on a college campus than we have ever had in District 6. And that's our mill levy dollars at work, making sure that while kids are still in school and they're able and capable of going to college, that we're accessing both of those types of education for our students. We have a team that's already been working on the implementation of the AVID program at the elementary schools. And our plan is to phase it in over multiple years, so we won't do all elementary schools all at once, but we have about a third of our elementary schools who are saying we're ready, and because we're doing such a large launch on this, we're able to work with the AVID organization, and very likely we will be able to bring the training here to train our staff. So we'll actually save money in our implementation plan because we have the ability to implement district-wide. So very excited about that, going to make a huge difference for getting our kids ready for college. And then also, we have teams working to develop summer school programming for elementary and middle school so we can have a more robust summer school programming. You all remember the night that I got teary-eyed and talked about learning that we really only had 3 summer school programs at 3 elementaries. So 3 programs total in our school district, with very few students being able to access those programs. So we are really looking forward to the build out of these programs, and we are going to launch this summer. And we will have students in school longer than just till the end of May. Not all kids though. But we're excited about that. And then under safety and security, hard work is going on around implementing a design for what's appropriate for security cameras at the high schools, in the building as well as outside the building. We'll be putting that out for bid very soon. And then as well, we'll be putting out for bid very soon new door locking systems and new badging system across the district. So really increasing our ability to secure our buildings. We're also ready to put out for bid the replacement of 30-year-old snow removal equipment.
No.
Now, they're still telling me that if we get more than a good, I think, he's saying two inches of snow, we're still in a lot of trouble for plowing with the equipment that we have. Those storms we had the last 2 years really did our equipment in, but we will replace that equipment, and it will be good for at least another 30 years, I'm confident. And then we put a big push out of advertising and promoting the hiring of additional hourly employees. So we're advertising in places we haven't advertised before, like we're looking at the possibility of advertising at the movie theater. But along with that, because we have increased the hourly rate for every one of our hourly employees, we are hopeful that we will attract a higher number of candidates to the many open positions we still have in transportation and nutrition services. So looking forward to that, and hoping those additional dollars will help to attract those folks in. So, that's just a small snippet. Really, I mean, that's not all of it, but we've been working hard to spend the dollars the way we promised. We won't, but a team will appoint the Citizens Oversight Committee at the end of this month. So by the first week of February, we'll have that Citizens Oversight Committee membership identified, and they will start monitoring our work. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I think we're working this week also with our charter schools to be certain that we have a process for the charters to report back to us and to the community on the spending of their mill levy override dollars as well.
That's dizzying. Thank you very much.
I tend to have that effect, don't I? Thank you.
But an MLO helps a person out, doesn't it? It's remarkable. And the community, we are grateful, certainly, for that. The next item is the approval of the agenda, and I'll accept a motion to move this item forward. From a board member, a motion. maybe.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 approves the agenda as presented.
Thank you, ma'am.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion?
So is this the time I would,
Is this the moment that we
Yes.
want to, I think we're going to move on this
No.
and then get a
Okay.
vote, and then we'll invite you to say
Thank you.
words. Well, let's do a roll call so we can pass that stage. Ms. Crane. We're going to go ahead and approve the motion, and then we will amend the agenda post.
I think this is.
Mr. DeWitt?
Ma'am? Aye.
I
Yeah,
actually
Okay,
think
I'm
we,
just following
if there
advice.
is a desire to amend the agenda, I think we instead make a motion to amend the agenda. So,
This is
Ms.
what we've done in the
Solis,
past.
are you willing to change your motion, Ms. Solis?
To change to the motion
To
to,
amend tonight's agenda? Because you
Yes.
don't want to approve tonight's agenda, you're looking to amend it.
correct.
You're saying we do want to?
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 amends the agenda to include consideration of the resolution in opposition to the development of vetting wells as item 8.04.
Second.
and our conscience is shaking her head at us.
Well, we want to accept and amend, don't we, Christina?
We want to approve the agenda, and then we would make a separate motion to amend the agenda.
That's the
Okay,
cleanest
so
way?
I
All
was
right,
right.
let's start over.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So
just
so
review
you
what I
just
did
moved
initially.
to approve the agenda. Is true?
I did the first one, and then it
Yeah.
got seconded,
No,
and we were
yeah.
going to take a vote. Okay. You were right.
It's a rare thing.
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Hafley?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Mr. Matthews?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Now, a little bird has told me that we may want to amend the agenda. Ms. Pappas?
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 amends the agenda to include consideration of the resolution in opposition to the development of vetting wells as item 804, or if possible, earlier on the agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion item, is there a spot earlier in the agenda that this could be forwarded to?
We could move it to special items.
Let's just scoot ahead to special items here. What number is that, ma'am?
Number 7.
That would probably be helpful. That would do nicely, if we can amend that amendment. Place it in item 7, special items. Is that? Okay. Now, somebody's going to have to remind me, we did that.
Well, point of order, we would vote on that amendment, and then the president would just put it wherever
Okay.
he would like.
I'm trying to locate that self-same spot. Pardon us while we clean up the dishes here. So that would be 7:03?
Sure.
Okay, if it goes that way. Okay, so we have a motion to amend the agenda item, and we have a second for that. We'll go ahead with a roll call, please. Ms. Crane?
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Hafley?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
No.
Mr. Matthews?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-1.
All right, so I will ask to put this on agenda item 7.03. And everyone will remind me we did that. Thank you very much. The next item is the consent agenda, and a motion is needed for this next item to be considered.
I move the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 approves items as presented on the consent agenda and authorizes the officers to sign any and all contracts.
Thanks, Mr. Hafley. Second. Julia, thank you. A discussion about any of these items on the consent agenda? Seeing nothing there, roll call, Ms. Crane.
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Hafley?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak? Mr. Matthews?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Now we're at item 7, special items. We've got some really good news. to share with the community and ourselves. This 7.01, Dr. Pilch, Centers of Excellence in schools that are Jackson and Brentwood, Jackson Elementary and Brentwood Middle School. And I'm not going to say any more because I'm going to let you do that.
Thank you, Mr. DeWitt.
It's a celebration, though.
This is a huge celebration, and that's why we wanted to bring leadership and some staff, and I think even some parents, and maybe a student even, to the meeting tonight to be recognized as a part of this special recognition. So we have two schools, Jackson Elementary School and Brentwood Middle School, as you said, who have been identified as school centers of excellence by the Colorado Department of Education. So out of all of the schools in Colorado who have the possibility of receiving this award, we have two of those schools. And so we are one of just 32 schools in Colorado at the elementary level and one of just 13 middle schools. So if you kind of do the math here and you think there's 176 school districts in the state, our school district alone has 33 of those schools. Now do the math, 176. Now they're not all big districts, but there are thousands of schools in the state of Colorado, and we have two that have been identified as centers of excellence. This is a huge honor. You get this honor because you have demonstrated, the staff and the students have demonstrated that they have tremendous growth as well as a high number of students who qualify for free and reduced lunch, which is actually how the state identifies a student who is at risk of achieving at grade level. Well, guess what? At these two schools, our students are beating the odds. They are exemplars for not only District 6, but for the state of Colorado on being able to take kids, how they come to you, and grow them in amazing ways. And these two schools are doing that. And we are very proud of them. So I would like to invite their leadership up to accept their banner. And if you'd like, why don't we take Jackson Middle School first, and Ingrid, and your team, why don't you come on up first? To recognize Mrs. Dillahay, Ingrid Dillahay, the principal, who is the leader of this fine ship, and she has with her several of her staff leaders. And you know, this kind of work does not happen by accident. It happens because we have tremendous leadership in place and we have tremendous staff who are making it happen every single day at the ground level. So we are so grateful for the work you do and so very proud of you, and I want you to see your banner, and I think our Board of Education should come up and stand behind you for a picture.
Oh, yeah.
There goes another good photograph.
Take your glasses. Take your
Take my glasses off.
Take your glasses off.
They should take one by themselves first and then take one with us.
Well, get out of the way. I'm not going to follow that.
Okay, find a spot to stand behind these innocent people.
There you go. Good job, friends. Good there, too. Nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's nice.
I think we're going to be going back for our next photo.
You might as well just turn that banner back over to Brad, because his staff has to hang them. Yeah.
Oh! Congratulations. Thank you guys so much. That is wonderful.
And equally exciting is the opportunity to honor the Brentwood Middle School leadership and staff. So I see the principal back here, Nicole Peterson. I'd like to invite you and your team up, please, to be recognized. Come on. Congratulations to Nicole Peterson, the principal at Brentwood Middle School, and to all of you as staff and a student for your hard work. And it just cannot be said enough that this kind of student growth only happens when the work is very intentional and very clear. And that vision starts with the leadership. And then it takes you all coming around that to implement it. So thank you. Thank you for being an exemplar for District 6. Ready?
All right, why don't just the staff? Get your photo face on there. Okay, can the board step in?
Well, maybe.
Between somebody so you can see me. There you go. 1, 2.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations.
Come here. You love me every day. All day, every day.
That's really great.
Well, that was pretty exciting, and some of you may find yourselves having to go and do your homework now, and that's perfectly good timing. But the next item is equally exciting. Colorado Association of Boards Art Contest winner, Alexis Garcia Moreno. Dr. Pilch?
Thank you, Mr. DeWitt. You know, I have often said since I got here a little over 2 years ago now, that we are going to change the conversation in District 6. And that it was going to be easy to hold our heads high when people say, so you work in District 6, you're from Greeley, you're from Greeley-Evans? Isn't that really hard? And I've been saying since I got here, we're changing that conversation. And let me tell you, not only are we changing that conversation, we are changing what we do here in District 6. And it is such an honor to recognize these two schools previously as centers of excellence, and then what you are about to see here that a young man did at Northridge High School to get statewide recognition. This is District 6. You are District 6. You turn around. They don't want to look at me. You turn around. Show them. Yes. This is District 6.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's outstanding.
Congratulations. So this is Alexis with his artwork. And he was selected as the first placed, come on up here. Come on up here. Was selected as the first place winner in the state of Colorado. Woo-hoo! Yes. And recognized by the Colorado Association of School Boards. Now, if you don't think that when school districts, it's board members who are upstaging me, it's board members who are going to push really hard to get their students recognized at something like the Colorado School Boards Association. Well, I know this doesn't mean a thing to you, but what should mean a lot to you is you got $100 from Amazon. We got a big giant check, you know that. But most importantly, you have made District 6 really, really proud. You make us look really good, along with a few other people here we're going to recognize along with you. So I'm going to let you go stand there with Dr. Hannaford, and when we're done, we're going to bring up some other folks we want to recognize, and I want to take your picture with this big check.
And make sure you hold your picture up so everybody at home can see it. There you go. So I just want to, yes. And I wanted to share a few words that his teachers shared with me as well as his principal, and they were just so thoughtful that I thought it was worth everybody having the opportunity to hear. And his mom is here this evening also, so moms definitely like to hear this about their kids, how great they are. So currently Alex is a sophomore at Northridge High School. As a freshman, he enrolled in the Drawing 1 class where his teacher, Mr. Dean Dixon, recognized his talent immediately and continued to foster Alex's creativity and skill techniques throughout the art class, and they have Friday Grizzly Advisory Studio Art Club. Mr. Dean Dixon saw incredible natural talent in Alex and nurtured it, giving Alex art supplies from his home and introducing him to the works of great artists. Mr. Dixon connected Alex to Miss Linda Johnson, who also recognized Alex's art talent. He now participates in the district's gifted and talented programs. Alex's principal, Miss Insoon Olson, shared that even though at times Alex can be a little quiet or a little reserved, his smile just shines through any time that somebody engages him in the conversation about art. I just saw it right there. In April of 2017, Alex won the Grand Prize Level Award in the 4th Congressional District competition. His artwork was displayed in the Colorado House of Representatives and in Washington, D.C. Wow. His teachers, Miss Brenda Rangel, Miss Linda Johnson, and Mr. Dean Dixon all knew that Alex would continue to develop his art talents, and that's just what he did. At the 77th Annual Colorado Association of School Boards Convention, Alex competed in their student art contest. CASB accepted 1 piece of artwork from each school, up to 3 pieces per district, that were judged by K-12 art teachers. And Alex's art piece was selected above all the other Colorado 9th to 12th grade students, earning the recognition of first place. I am also pleased to share that Alex, he might change his mind, but right now he would very much like to become an artistic painter. Oh. And I have no doubt that he will. Congratulations, Alex. We are all very proud of you.
Certificates that we'd also like to grant to each of the teachers and to Ms. Olson. So first, to you, Mr. Dixon. Congratulations. And Linda Johnson. Thank you, Linda. Congratulations. Thank you. And Brenda Rangel. And Principal Insoon Olson. And finally, our grand prize winner, Alexis Garcia Moreno. Yeah. Do you want us to take that home? Congratulations, Donald.
Well, the next item on our amended agenda, I did that, is a consideration of of a resolution regarding the Board of Education opposition to development of vetting wells. And we've accepted approval to move to this agenda point. May we then ask for a motion to consider this resolution at this time? Oh, goes back to that one. I probably stole it.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 adopts a resolution of opposition to the development of vetting wells as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. I will, of course, read the resolution, and then we'll have the opportunity to have some discussion. This would be a resolution from the Board of Education. Whereas the Board of Education is a body of elected officials that represents the constituents of Greeley-Evans that live within the boundaries of Greeley-Evans School District 6, and whereas the Board of Education policy BBA states the board is responsible for acquiring reliable information from responsible sources which will enable it to make the best possible decisions about the scope and nature of educational programs, and whereas the mission of Greeley-Evans School District 6 is to provide every student with a personalized, well-rounded, and excellent education in a safe, caring environment, and whereas the values and beliefs of Greeley-Evans School District 6 includes ensuring safe and healthy schools for all students, and whereas the Board of Education has received information from development and public safety experts about safety issues and emergency response plans in place in regard to accidents or public safety issues at large industrial developments. And whereas a large, heavy industrial development located approximately 1,000 feet from a school could potentially compromise the health, safety, and welfare of students being educated in that facility. And whereas a large, heavy industrial development located approximately 1,000 feet from a school could create noise, dust, odors, increased traffic, and other factors that could disrupt the educational environment for students and staff. And whereas oil and gas wells do have the potential to create health and safety hazards, including but not limited to fires, explosions, and releases of potentially hazardous materials. And whereas Extraction Oil and Gas Incorporated has received approval from the Weld County Board of Commissioners, as well as the Colorado Gas and Oil Conservation Commission, to erect a large industrial development known as the Vetting Well site that is proposed to be approximately 1,000 feet from Bella Romero Academy 4-8 campus, which is located in Greeley-Evans School District 6. And whereas Extraction Oil and Gas Incorporated is seeking additional permits to begin a drilling and extraction operation at the Vetting Well site, which is anticipated to begin in the spring of 2018. And whereas the Board of Education has a primary responsibility to provide safe learning environment for the students of Bella Romero Academy 4-8 campus. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of Greeley-Evans School District 6 is opposed to the development of the Vetting Well site as proposed, and asks the approval of this site be reconsidered by Weld County and the State of Colorado agencies involved in the permitting process, and/or that Extraction Oil and Gas locate its drilling and extraction operations to a site greater than 2,000 feet from any District 6 school or facility. And with your approval, this would be signed by your president. I'll open this to discussion at this time. Be glad to have you turn your lights on if you have comments to make at this point. Ms. Solis.
So a while back, we as a board went to the county commissioners and presented a letter saying basically the same thing. We had concerns. As time has gone on, we've seen situations that have put more question on the safety around oil wells and what could happen. Bella Romero is a site where we have lots of young children with little lungs, little brains, and a lot of curiosity. And so the concern around this issue has been something that we have discussed as a board over the past several months. This is something that we need to do as a board and to be strong when sometimes it's not the easiest time to be strong. I want to be on the right side of this issue, and I will be supporting this and voting yes.
Ms. Pappas.
I would just like to, we had this conversation in the work session, and there were some points brought up about the fact that it is our responsibility to think about the safety of our students. Dr. Richard made a comment about thinking about what our mission is, thinking about what we say we believe in safety and security, and I think it's important for us to be strong and make a statement about the opposition to these wells, because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. We did receive a lot of information from the fire department, from the city. I just feel like with all those precautions, it is our responsibility to make a strong statement that these wells should not be located 1,000 feet away from our children.
Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Richard, please.
Well, and in support as well, the values that we hold as the basis of our strategic plan identify that the safe schools, and so I'm in support and will be voting in support of this as well, because we become the voice for the students who are going to be going to school near that site, and we have a responsibility as elected officials for those children to speak up on their behalf.
Looking for other board comments. Personally, this has been difficult because we sometimes find ourselves with divergent views and divergent pieces of information. For instance, the fire officials have let us know the kinds of experiences they've had in facing fires, which would be on the same potential scale as an event near Bella. And at the same time, we're left to make this decision. They certainly let us know that this is a decision that is unable to be fully calculated. No one from the fire department encouraged us to make this action. But they gave us more and more information to think about, and I fall back over recent events in which there have been explosions and other incidents at well sites and well-related activity, where even well-trained individuals, perhaps due to inclement weather, but nonetheless in an industrial setting, were unable to keep the consequences of a fire and explosion from occurring. And so this motivates me, despite the fact that we understand there are professionals who say that this is controlled and within a reasonable area. It goes to the statement about the security of our children, and maybe this resolution won't impact the final placement, but it is our intent, I think, to go on record as saying this isn't a location of our choice. So I'll be voting in favor. Other comments? I'm seeing no other comments. Dr. Pilch.
Thank you, Mr. DeWitt. As superintendent of schools, I feel compelled to comment on this, and I respect and appreciate that this is a resolution of the Board of Education, and at the end of the day, each one of you I respect and really admire your leadership that you provide here in the district. I know that you have not come at this easily. We've had a lot of discussion over the last several months about this vetting well site. We enjoy a tremendous relationship with Extraction Oil and Gas. We enjoy significant support from Synergy Oil, and Noble Energy has even helped us to secure the natural gas buses here for District 6. So indeed, the oil companies in our area have been very supportive of us and our families. And we respect that many of our families, I respect that many of our families work in the oil field. And they rely on the work in the oil fields to take care of their families. And this is a school with a very, very large well site planned within 1,500 feet of it. It's by any measure that we look at. I don't think that any of us who every single day work hard to ensure the safety and security of students can say that having a significant industrial site like this close to any elementary school or middle school or high school is a good idea. And I know people will say to us, well, you already have those wells at Northridge High School, and you have wells close to many of your other schools. I think what's really important for all of us to understand is this is a significant industrial site. This is not just a handful of wells or one well like what we have at Prairie Heights Middle School. This will be a significant industrial site. And I know that folks in the industry are doing everything they can to ensure the safety and well-being of folks on and around well sites. I know that the technology gets better and better all the time around this, and yet there is still so much we do not know, that we don't know what the effects will be. We don't know what that worst accident can be, because we haven't lived that worst accident yet. We don't know. And so as much as I value our relationship with Extraction Oil and Gas and with our county commissioners who approved this initially, I value that as well. And that relationship is very important to us as a school district. And yet, I have to tell you, you have my full endorsement as your superintendent in supporting this resolution. It's just not okay to put a significant industrial site this close to a school.
Thank you, ma'am. You know, I think I speak for others here, perhaps, that our opinion might have been swayed a little bit from the discussion of how we would evacuate the site under extreme circumstances. And seeing a bunch of kids holding hands and going down the street is pretty terrifying. And in its concept, obviously, we don't have control over those events where the kids are at some other situation and something occurs, but having us responsible for providing for the security of our students in a situation in which there might well be an avoidable industrial situation, I think that's pretty much changed my point of view this evening and has brought me to this point. And I'm not seeing any other comments coming forward, so how about if we try a roll call, Ms. Crane?
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Hagley?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Mr. Matthews?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, ma'am. And thanks to the board for allowing that to be placed a little bit out of order. The next item is board priorities, the public notice of meetings and designated posting sites. This is a requirement, Dr. Pilch, is it not?
It is, sir. It is state law that we do
Well,
this.
then maybe we should act on that as a board. Be glad to accept a motion to consider this.
I move that the Board of Education of Wall County School District 6 approves items as presented. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm at the wrong place here. It didn't bring me up to the new one.
8.01.
There we go, just a minute. I move that the Board of Education, I move that the Board of Education of Wall County School District 6 approves the Administration Building West Lobby and the district website as designated posting sites for public notice of meetings.
Second.
Thank you both. As Dr. Pilch mentioned, it's just simply a requirement of letting people know how we do our reporting. Further discussion or questions? A roll call, Ms. Crane?
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Hagley?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Mr. Matthews?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. Done a little more spring house cleaning left over here with the first read of policy EHB records retention. This is an upgrade of our records. I think it's out of Casby's suggestion, Dr. Pilch, and you've had the chance to read through this. It is simply an information item that we will be acting on. Any questions or comments about that? We'll see it again soon. The next item, 8.03, revisions to policy JICDE, bullying prevention and education. This may look familiar because we acted on it not long ago, but we excluded a couple of key points, a couple of key words, specifically gender identity, as a subject we wish to protect from bullying. And so this is an action item. We would require a motion to move on this.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 approves the revisions to policy JICDE, bullying prevention education as presented.
Second.
Thank you both. Further questions or comments? We talked about the correction and we didn't follow through, and so now we're just making it so. Oh, excuse me, Dr. Richard, please.
So when I was reading through this again, and admittedly we've seen it recently, I was struck by the fact that we don't mention the potential bullying of staff or faculty by students.
Right.
I think that's
Is
located
that covered
elsewhere.
someplace else?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's not those specific words, but it's covered in our regulation associated with the master teacher contract in relation to complaints that staff can make about being harmed by a student or being assaulted by a student, and the process for staff, to make that known.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Good question. Are we set for a roll call? Ms. Crane?
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Hafley?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Mr. Matthews?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Ms. Solis?
Aye.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you. The next item is district accreditation rating. Again, it's a public information item. Dr. Pilch?
Thank you. So annually, we have an obligation to bring forward to the board our district accreditation rating as designated by the state of Colorado. We have been accredited with improvement plan by the state of Colorado, and we'll bring that forward to you tonight. And Dr. Dattery is going to help us with these items this evening as well. Dr. Dattery, district accreditation rating. Did we lose you?
She's gathering her gear.
Sorry. Not a worry. We've all been just a little off tonight. I think we can account it to that we started at about 2:30 today, 2:45, and it's a new year, so we always just have to start over as the new year comes. So Dr. Dowry is going to walk you through our state accreditation system information, and then we're going to move right into the school improvement plan.
Thank you.
Or the school accreditation ratings, excuse me. And then finally close with school improvement plans.
Well, thank you, Dr. Pilch, President DeWitt, and members of the board. As Dr. Pilch mentioned, I will bring to you tonight first the district accreditation rating, and this is for information tonight for you all as it is approved at the State Board of Education meeting. So in just 1 second, we will pop up for you. Do you have it all in front of you?
I do.
No, okay, we will get it up.
Got it?
I can get it,
I think we can.
It's not a problem.
There, it's right here as well. I'll just provide a little background and then talk about our accreditation rating. Thank you so much, Christina.
And just for the record, I just want to mention that Mr. Matthews had to depart a little bit early, but
Okay.
it's nothing against the ratings.
Okay, very good. All right, there we go. So first, I'd just like to provide a little background information about the accreditation system in Colorado. The state accreditation system became law actually in 2009. This system is a method for accrediting both districts as well as schools across the state and provides guidelines for giving differentiated support both to districts as well as to schools, depending on their accreditation category, if they're a district, or their associated school improvement plan type, if they are a school. So each district is held accountable to a set of key performance indicators as reported on the district performance framework. The district breakdown for the indicators include 40% on academic growth, which is the largest category, percentage weight,
and then 30% both on academic achievement as well as on post-secondary and workforce readiness. So districts are accredited by the state in one of 5 different categories on your screen. Depending upon the percentage of performance indicator points that they earn on the district performance framework, they can be accredited with either distinction, just straight accredited, accredited with an improvement plan, accredited with a priority improvement plan, or finally accredited with a turnaround plan. The latter 2 of those accreditation levels include the varying degrees of intervention by the Colorado Department of Education. Our district is highlighted in green of the accreditation plan of an improvement plan, accreditation with an improvement plan. So this is the timeline for district accountability, kind of taking it from when we actually receive the district performance framework with that initial category assignment. There is time then through the first part of the year for districts to submit a request to reconsider based on their initial accreditation rating, if they choose to do so. We did not choose to do so. And then in December, the Colorado Department of Education assigns the final accreditation category plan type. And then this is all associated with the UIP, the Unified Improvement Planning process, in which, based on whichever plan type a school district has, they then have to submit their UIP based on criteria and different aspects addressing that in the Unified Improvement Plan. And that plan is then submitted in April. And that really sums up the accreditation presentation that I wanted to share with you about our district, and I will be happy to take any questions you may have.
Well, you know, this isn't our first rodeo with this material, so I doubt that I'm seeing anyone with any specific questions on this aspect.
Fine.
So, Dr. Pilcher, are we at peace moving forward to the school accreditation ratings?
Absolutely, and I'm comfortable with you just going right ahead, Dr.
Okay,
Catherine.
let me just point out that this is an action item, and so someone please offer a motion to consider this item.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 approve the school accreditation ratings as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Thank you both.
So can I just jump in
Doctor,
real
please.
quick and say the one that I just presented to you was the district accreditation rating?
Yes.
And it does not require action, but the school that you just read, that
Right.
one will.
And that's
Oh.
and we set the stage for that purpose, so we're fine. We're good.
I apologize.
No, that's fine. We can only do one thing at a time here, and sometimes we don't.
You are good then.
But with your school accreditation ratings, item 9.02,
All right, very good.
we have moved ourselves ready to hear your description.
Well, thank you. And this is information in regard to the accreditation of all of our schools, and that we will accept the accreditation categories that have been assigned by the state. They have been approved by district leadership, and then these categories will be submitted to the Colorado Department of Education upon your approval or action this evening. So the state accreditation system is, as I mentioned earlier, the same for schools as it is for districts. And I shared this with you just a few minutes ago. Each school then is also held accountable to a set of key performance indicators as reported on the school performance frameworks. These indicators for this past year include, for both elementary as well as middle schools, the pie chart on the left with showing 60% of their key indicators are in academic growth and 40% are on academic achievement. And then for our high schools, it is again very similar to that of districts, showing that 40% of the key indicators are on academic growth, 30% are on academic achievement, and another 30% are then on the post-secondary and workforce readiness. So District 6 will be accrediting schools based on the plan type each school has been assigned by the state. Based on each school's attainment on the performance indicators, the Colorado Department of Education makes a recommendation as to whether each school should implement a performance plan, an improvement plan, a priority improvement plan, or a turnaround plan. So based on that, these schools, both last year and this year, there have been a total of actually 15 of our schools meeting this rating of performance.
And we are very proud of the schools and their hard work and dedication to attaining this growth and achievement to attain this plan type. So schools that have actually been in this category for more than 1 year include Jackson, McAuliffe, Montfort, Shawsheen, Chapello, Winograd, Brentwood, Early College Academy, Frontier, Union Colony Preparatory School, University, and Westridge Academy. Schools that improved to this category this year and improved one level was Madison Elementary. And schools that improved actually 2 categories are Franklin as well as Union Colony Elementary. Very proud of the work that all these schools put into getting to these levels of growth and achievement. And then these 7 schools have been accredited with an improvement plan type. And while they are not at performance, they are making growth and achievement. And for our high schools, they are approaching or even meeting in some areas the expectations for post-secondary and workforce readiness. And that puts them in this improvement category. These are the few schools that are in priority improvement, including Dos Rios, Maplewood, and Meeker, that are entering just year 1. This is their first year in that category. And when I say that entering year 1, it is based on the accountability clock that we have spoken to earlier in the year. And so again, this is a very similar timeline because these school and district performance frameworks come out at the same time, and then CDE makes that final recommendation to the State Board of Education, assigning the different plan types in those different areas. We then bring this to you, the local Board of Education, for action, and then we submit these back to the Colorado Department of Education. And at which time, again, this relates to the school unified improvement planning process as they write their plans based on the accreditation rating that they are given. All UIPs are then submitted no later than April for publication on SchoolView. So again, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to take those based on the school plan types.
Well, I want to point out, we don't have anybody at turnaround.
Correct.
I'd like to say that's pretty dandy.
That is very good.
And so congratulations all the way around for that that achievement. And things change and ratings shift, but that's a singular achievement. The other thing I want to point out is that a couple of our schools are just a point or two off of the next level up.
That is correct.
And we weren't able to get the state to say, okay, we'll give you a mulligan on this one. But our kids are close in a number of settings, and so these, even the improvement scores aren't necessarily reflective of the good news that we have in the district right now.
Yeah.
I have a question regarding Meeker and its situation in terms of the accountability clock, considering the fact that it's on wheels right now.
Right.
Do you know what we could count on under that circumstance?
You know, that's interesting. I actually had a personal conversation with some of our leaders at the Colorado Department of Education about that, and you know, I don't know that there will be any flexibility, that they even have the authority to grant any flexibility, but we certainly are talking with them, making them well aware of what it looks like there for children and what has occurred for children there. We're concerned about it, no question about it.
Yeah.
Well, all the more reason to thank you for making sure that we missed very few days
Yeah.
under that circumstance, and we've got them in a learning environment, and we're doing the best we can to see that they're successful. I was just curious about how that might impact.
You know, as hard as our staff are working there at the new site at Generations Church, and you know, I'm thrilled that we now have everybody there. I know we've got some traffic issues going on there with the Greeley West staff and students trying to get into Greeley West High School and parents trying to get their children to the alternative site there at Generations Church. But we're working hard with the city, and they're working hard to try to help us to figure this out with the traffic. But other than that, we now have everybody there, and teachers have worked really hard, and they're very dedicated. But there's no question that this flood at Meeker Elementary School has been significantly disruptive to school as we know it for Meeker Elementary.
Well, we'll all know that nonetheless. Other comments or questions at this point? I believe we were left with passage of a motion, and the discussion's completed. Roll call on item 9.02, school accreditation ratings, please. Ms. Crane?
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Hafley?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you very much. The next item is school improvement plans, and this is quite a reading exercise to go through these, by the way. This requires a motion to be considered once again. Someone from the board, please.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 approve the school improvement plans for the priority improvement and turnaround schools.
Second.
Thank you all for that. Dr. Pilch, I turn it to you.
Thank you, Mr. DeWitt. So you all have had an opportunity to review the school improvement plans. We presented them to you in work session last month, and they're here tonight for you to take action on and to approve.
Any other comments then? Dr. Richard, please.
Well, Mr. DeWitt, you made mention of they're fairly lengthy when you gather them all together. But I'm always struck each year by the quality of thought that goes into them. Dr. Pilch had mentioned that our couple of success stories that we celebrated tonight, the intentionality of the work there. And I think these plans really show a deep, thoughtful discussion of what's going well, what needs to be improved, and how do we make those changes and navigate that process. And then they can become that intentional work day to day in the classroom. So I just, an appreciation to you, your staff, all of the staffs who have these conversations to make us better and better so that we don't have schools on turnaround. So thank you.
Well, it strikes me as we've been reading through this material that has so carefully been put together by reps from schools in question that I've read some of those lines in previous years, that this is the problem and this is how we're going to try to approach it because we haven't been able to approach it quite this way before. And it made me want to ask a question about staff turnover. Have we been stalling a little bit in some settings because of a turnover in our teaching staff, or is it just hard work and it takes time? And I don't know if it's a reasonable question even, but it's crossed my mind as I was going through, and I said, I remembered this from the same response, essentially, a similar response to how we're going to approach these kids that are
Mr. DeWitt,
sort of lost.
There is no question that who the staff is, who is working in that classroom, makes a tremendous impact on student achievement. And so staff turnover is absolutely something we've been measuring and watching, and Annette and her team have actually, they've been kind of compiling the data all fall for me around really some history of what has happened with staff turnover. So I am not at a point where I can say staff turnover has led to lack of achievement or not. Mm-hmm. What I will tell you is that we moved last year, you might remember, to giving all of our priority improvement schools and turnaround schools priority hiring. And so those schools are able to hire prior to the rest of our schools here in District 6. So basically they get the first strike at the candidate pool. We will do the same this year. And even if those schools that came off of priority improvement last year, we will still give them priority hiring this year again, because we believe that giving them priority hiring made a difference, and the principals have said as much to us. So I think, when we see a lot of turnover because teachers aren't supported, that is something we need to own and we need to repair. We know that every time we bring in a new teacher, that significant training goes into that new teacher, and that's a lot of resources going into that new teacher. So if we can hire the very best people, train them really well, and then keep them. And that is, that sounds simple, but that's a pretty sophisticated formula in a state that has a shortage of teachers.
Well, I appreciate it was more of an open question, and I think it points out for me, the intent of the question was to demonstrate how difficult this work is.
Absolutely.
And how important it is to get a good teacher and put her or him in place.
Absolutely.
Ms. Pappas.
Well, as you were speaking to that, it brought to mind that also we do, with the passing of 3A, I feel like we had some pretty strong commitment to offering additional resources and time for students. So that will also be something that will be that additional support for
Well,
schools.
and the summer school piece is really,
Yeah.
really, I mean,
Yeah.
schools that have the highest number of students who are living in poverty, those are the schools that are going to benefit the most from summer school programs, from an extended school year.
Thank you.
Because of that melt that we're going to try to keep from happening. Well, thank you all. We have moved and seconded and pretty thoroughly discussed this particular issue. How about a roll call, Ms. Crane, on 9.03?
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Haefele?
Aye.
Mr. Lydiak?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we find ourselves at 10.01, Colorado Education Network Resolution. To consider this item and to hear the resolution, we'll need a motion, please, someone.
I move that the Board of Education of Weld County School District 6 adopts the resolution in support of the Colorado Education Network as presented.
Second.
Thank you both. Dr. Pilch will have a moment or two to remind us of certain aspects of our exposure to the Colorado Education Network. And there's been some material in the Denver Post just recently about the work of the of the network. But let me go ahead and lovingly read this resolution. Whereas the state's children constitute the promise of Colorado through their potential as thinkers, leaders, and caretakers of their generation and the future. And whereas public education is the bedrock of our democracy, fundamental to individual opportunity, the underpinning of thriving communities, and the key to Colorado's economic prosperity and future. And whereas wise and adequate investment in Colorado schools is essential to maintaining and improving the competitiveness of Colorado and its students. And whereas every child, including those with special needs, those who live in poverty, those who are English language learners, and those who are gifted and talented, needs great teachers, individual attention, support services, access to technology, meaningful school choices, and broad, high-quality educational opportunities to ensure they will be well prepared for post-secondary education and or well-paying careers, for lifelong learning and for success in the 21st century economy. And whereas Colorado's support for elementary and secondary education was $2,685 below the national average in per pupil funding when adjusted for regional cost differences in 2014, the most current national comparison available. And whereas per pupil funding in Greeley-Evans School District is $20,650,891 below pre-recession levels when adjusted for inflation. And whereas as a result of state budget cuts over the past 9 years, Colorado students do not have adequate and or equitable access to critical educational opportunities, supports, and individual attention, Colorado school districts are unable to hire and support a highly professional teaching force equitably available to all students. Unintended inequities among districts continue to grow. And whereas investing in public education is crucial to ensuring the future health of Colorado's economy and our state's competitiveness, students must leave their public schools ready for success in our 21st century society and ready to fill current and future jobs. With the additional resources, Colorado could better implement the strategies, programs, and support students need to succeed academically, socially, and emotionally. And whereas with Colorado's future and its students' futures in the balance, the need to address Colorado's school funding failures at the state level is immediate and urgent. And whereas the Colorado Education Network is a growing statewide coalition of individuals and organizations throughout the state who recognize the need for action and are committed to staying informed about and engaging in efforts to better invest in the education of each and every Colorado student. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Greeley-Evans School District 6 Board of Education remains committed to the goal of adequate and equitable funding of Colorado public education, and hereby joins the Colorado Education Network. Dr. Pilch.
Well, that resolution pretty much speaks for itself.
Thank you.
I don't know that there's a lot I can add, except for one thing I want to say, that upon your approval, presuming you all approve this, we then become Colorado Education Network. So when we talk about who is and what is Colorado Education Network, we are, all of us who are supporters and believers in public education for every single child in Colorado. That's who the Colorado Education Network is, and that's who we are.
Seems to fit. Other comments from board members? Well, how about a roll call? Ms. Crane on item 10.01.
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
Mr. Hafley?
Aye.
Mr. Lydia?
Aye.
Ms. Pappas?
Aye.
Dr. Richard?
Aye.
Mrs. Solis?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
Well, thank you very much for that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our tether and the end of our agenda. So we wish you all a good night. This meeting is adjourned.